When I started my YouTube channel, it was actually originally going to be about issues and concepts related to governments and social problems, but I chose to go the route of mostly games, entertainments, because I realized how stubborn people really are in their views of certain aspects of social issues, and you start to grasp the reality that regardless if you show someone an evidence that disproves their statements or belief, they won't change their mind. Most people, unfortunately, are not willing to change as people, even if you provide set proof, right? Not everyone is like this, but a good portion of the populations, at least a lot of people, they have this type of mentality, or their beliefs are just extremely deep rooted. It's just the way they are, and I guess I myself have also come to the realization that this isn't just exclusive to politics. Politics has sink to the point where anything or anyone that even remotely interacts with a person or even a label that has some sort of relevance in the political arena, it then suddenly becomes an extremely controversial subject matter and even sort of a taboo in today's world. I do understand where the sentiment comes from though. I think a lot of the reason behind this is due to extremists in the political spectrum. You have far-leaning takes and beliefs that make talking about certain issues very polarizing, because when these views are amplified, usually through the news or social media, they do sort of create perception that I notice that makes it seem like things are far more divided than they actually are. Now, this can push people to adopt more extreme positions themselves, because unfortunately, people adhere by what appears to be the acceptable norms, and also the lack of will to actually make decisions themselves or even make up their own mind. It also doesn't help that when it comes to making headlines, that extreme views do tend to attract more attentions, and the most radical voices, they often receive the most coverage, which then again puts involving yourself any sort of controversial topic very polarizing to many people. Usually the more moderate or nuanced perspectives, they get drowned out or aren't really being highlighted as much, making it seem like the extremes are the only options, when really that's not necessarily the case. With that in mind, you shouldn't really be letting this perception cloud or misguide your judgment about what is politics and how it should be treated. Now, I get it. For the most part, I think it is pointless rambling on about it online as words or, endless debates. They don't necessarily create any tangible result or change, but rather actions do. Now, action is an extremely general, it's a very broad term, so it can be almost anything depending on the context. Most would say voting would be on the top of the list of initiatives you can take, and I agree, it is certainly up there. But I'll also say that when you have a rare and occasional opportunity to make an impact or create a surge, if you want to call it that, then I think you should absolutely take that, regardless of what a bunch of whack, excuse my language, on the internet tell you to do. Still, it is your choice. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide. Which takes us to today's topic. Now, allegedly, and I say allegedly because we don't know for sure, but it really doesn't matter for this discussion because it's more of a general discourse than anything else. But apparently, a very popular streamer, gamer, Cenat, got contacted by Kamala Harris' campaign. Again, allegedly, we don't know for sure. And he seemed to turn it down, and even blatantly in one of his video or live stream. Now, I don't know Cenat or a lot of these popular figures, but I seen their faces, or I believe I did. He looks familiar. I seen it on ads, on YouTube recommendation every once in a while. Now, even if this was fake, I get the feeling that he was doing a test of what the reactions, the public reaction online will be from his fans and even on the internet as a whole. Depending on the feedback he gets, I get the feeling he might have done the meeting perhaps in a similar fashion of sort to some of the more recent ones that, let's say, Donald Trump did with another popular streamer that goes by Aiden Ross. And even Elon Musk, which, by the way, I just have to say, both of these interviews were one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. I mean, they were more like buddies talk. You can hardly call that an interview. It was essentially two rich people patting each other on the back. I hate to say it, but you might as well go make out at that point if you really just want to suck each other off so bad. Basically, Kai's reason behind turning down the request was because he wasn't into politics, right? He never was, and a lot of the reaction from the spectator side of things and even other popular figures, they're backing him up. They're saying that he made the right choice because Kamala is a terrible human being right? It's a person, blah, 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 we get it.
Then on top of that, I got the fucking Secret Service calling me.
Now, if you think those are good, valid points, so much as to turn down an interview with a potential president of the United States, I hate to be the person to tell this, but someone has to say it. You're either thinking too small or you're a deep-rooted evil person. Let me break things down for you as to why that is. First of all, the way the world works, especially in politics, actually not just in politics, but anywhere in life, and you know I'm telling the truth when I say this, is that it isn't always about who you like or don't like. It isn't about which person is morally good or is just a piece of right? Ideally, yes, you would want someone like that, but that's not what a lot of people strive to be, unfortunately, or that's not the way things turn out. You know I'm telling the truth when I say a lot of the people, companies, brands, your friends, or whatever you want to call them, people you associate with, are not exactly good people, as you like to paint them to be, deep down. And I would argue a good portion of them would do everything that a lot of these politicians have done and more had they been given the opportunity to do so in exchange for hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So please, stop with this virtue signaling bullcrap. It comes off very hypocritical and dishonest. I don't like her or Trump either, and as far as I'm concerned, they all can go to hell for all I care. But that's besides the point. Because you have to put yourself back in reality and look at these current situations at hand. You really only have two options. And so you're going to have to work with what you have. Politics is about leveraging, like negotiations, compromise, and representations, right? Most, if any at all, involves you liking or agreeing with someone past entirely. It all comes down to which person can use the other to achieve their goals. Even if you don't like politicians and lawmakers, if you believe a certain cause is worth fighting for, and you can use these representatives to get closer to your goals, why wouldn't you? It's the only thing you can do. You have to treat a lot of these officials like children. Because think about it. Kids will do whatever they want without a point of directions to follow, and that's exactly what happened when you have someone in office who people almost never pressure him or her to do what they were set out to do. And that's exactly the role of people, as in you, me. So when it comes to Kai and Kamala Harris, for those of you who don't want to get involved in politics at all, or you want creator to stay away from it entirely, listen, Kai isn't necessarily getting himself involved in political affairs, because literally all he has to do is ask her questions. Heck, if he's in front of her, that's even better. You know why? She wants your audience? Great, because guess what? You're in control because you're the one asking the questions. You're not endorsing her. It's a interview, my guy. You're doing more for the average person, right? People who are actually passionate about bringing forth like real world issues than anyone else. It would help bring up hard-hitting questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask, it's simple. Just put down some that the general public might have, or better yet, reach out to organizations and groups that have been active in social issues. There are a bunch of them. You will find more than what you're looking for, especially for someone who has millions of followers. And you probably have a whole like plethora of connections as well. So really, my point is, if Cenat has a chance to do a meeting with a potential president of the United States, then forget about your public fame or what a bunch of are telling you to do. What do you truly believe is the right thing to do? I would say write down some good questions, and heck, even bring up her past, right? That's even better in the justice system, right? Especially her role as a prosecutor, right? Dig it up, put her on the spot. She will be forced to respond in some way, and possibly even amends for them for the foreseeable future. And if you don't want to be the main person conducting this meeting, then okay, all right, fine. Get someone who's on a neutral ground to do it, while you sit back and chime in whenever you have something to add, right? You don't have to be the main center of attention. Once you conducted this interview and she does become the president later on, then guess what? It makes it so much easier to press her even further on the discussions and promises that were brought forth during her campaign, especially when you consider that her re-election will be coming up 4 years later. So if she wants to keep her position, then she better do her job. Putting her on the spot in front of your audience and her would certainly apply pressure that you can later leverage if she does take the office. Now, nothing in life is guaranteed, all things considered, but doesn't mean you stop trying or you don't try. And if you're not going to give this a shot, then why bother with anything else? You're young, Kai, yet you have so much influence, but you don't want to use it because why? You're afraid of backlash, to lose some because of it, or simply conducting a meeting? You have to understand, Kai, this isn't just about you. It really all comes down to how Kamala responds to the questions presented. Whether it goes up or down is entirely up to her, her response. You're just a messenger for the people. Okay, again, you're not endorsing her. This is not you getting, involved in politics or whatever. Now you're on one side. It has nothing to do with that. You're literally just a messenger. That's all there is to it. It's asking the bare minimum out of you. If you're afraid of losing some fans just for asking questions to a potential president of the United States, then you don't need wackos like them around, nor should you care. Stop thinking about fame or being a coward at the mercy of your base for once in your life. You have more than what most people will ever get in their whole life, their entire life, or heck, in generations. I would say, you have responsibility as someone of your social and economic status to just this bare minimum. Now, it is your life, your choice, so if you don't care, you don't want no part in this, then fine. But I would also argue you deserve to keep the title of a coward and a clown. It's one way or the other. You can't have both. And let me address what other popular creators are also saying, where essentially they're backing Kai's senior decision by using the same arguments of who cares about politics or politics is bad. It's just the same rehashed statements you keep hearing on social media, especially in the gaming community. So let me be clear. You can stay away from politics, mostly, but you can't escape entirely because it is part of society, your life. It will always play a role regardless of whether you're fond of it or not. Not doing anything isn't going to achieve anything. You don't need to follow the news bits by bits. I haven't in a while, right? But out of 365 days, you should spare just a few hours or a day to get off your and make some contacts or go to the polling center, right? If there is someone that's leaning towards what you believe to be the right course of directions. It's the least most of us can do, which makes Kai's current situation even worse because this is a dude with a lot of presence and resources, and yet he can't get out of his own to do the most neutral and minimal thing for someone of his status. There are people who are passionate about making changes, but they don't have time, capitals, or have the connection to even reach a government representative. Yet here we have someone who gets contacted by the Democratic candidate to do an interview of sort, and his response is to spat on that chance. That is just pure clownery. There's no other way to put it. And you also have a lot of these popular streamers who are backing this stance, but you have to understand these people a lot of them are insulated from the effects of bad policies that people of lower incomes, people in the real world face. So you be damn fool to listen to any of their nonsense because guess what? They got hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of savings already, and you're barely scrapping by. So I don't want to hear a damn word out of any of their mouth about who cares about politics or politics is bad. Your life is pretty much secure. The rest of us, not so much. Again, you can stay away from politics, but there comes a point when you need to get off your chair and do your part, no matter how small that role may be. Because as far as I'm concerned, none of this is going to go anywhere. If you really don't care about any of this, then I don't want to hear you complain about anything. Not a crap.